In Fallout 4, legendary enemies are considerable threats that mutate and become stronger as you fight them. They can either drop you a powerful armor or a powerful weapon. They usually start spawning after the level 5, and their chances keep upgrading as you level up. Your game difficulty can play into this factor, but what if you didn't need that? What if everyone was legendary regardless of your difficulty and your level? What if everyone, even your enemies, even your friends, were all legendary? Well, in this video we find out, can I beat Fallout 4 with everyone being legendary? Now, like always, I have to make my character. And I'm gonna be honest, I didn't really know what to go with for this legendary character. I couldn't tell who would be more legendary. Either a man with great fortune and wealth, or just a little poor guy with only tails to build. I decided to go with both of those. And this is what I made. So sexy, so romantic. Now, like any legend in the world, you need unrealistic qualities to make you more powerful and stronger to build your character up to greatness. So I started off with 5 strength, 5 perception, 6 endurance, 5 agility, and 5 luck. I'll be using big guns, VATS, and a lot of sneaking for this run. And our legend's name is going to be Elon Musk, the most legendary name a man could ever hold. To start off, I ran away, got nuked, and then my wife was shot by a cereal box. I woke up out of my pod, knowing that my wife and son had been taken from me, but that meant more treasure, gold, and ladies for me. I didn't need them anymore, so I left and went after the first rad roach that I saw, just to check if it was legendary. And now that I knew that everything was legendary, it's a good time to go over the rules of the challenge. So I can use anything I want, do anything I want, have anything I want, but I'm not allowed to pick up drops that are legendary from regular enemies. I feel like this would make the challenge way too easy, and I feel like I need to challenge myself more. Once I made it to the end of the vault, I changed my character up a little bit more to make him fit the more Elon Musk aspect of the character. Once I was outside, I didn't go to Sanctuary. I made my way over to this little area with raiders, just to test out how everything would work. And it turns out, if I get damaged, I mutate too. And that was perfect. I was now musty. I had a green aura and flies. This was perfect. The best thing that could have ever happened. I ran down to Red Rocket to go test out if companions also get mutated. And of course this meant that I had to absolutely destroy Dogmeat with a pistol. And it did. He got a really cool red aura, which was pretty sick. I decided to take Dogmeat with me because of the fact that he's also legendary with me. That means that he is obviously a little bit in the challenge with me, so I wouldn't have a problem doing it. So don't get angry at me in the comments about this. Then me and Dogmeat left the Concord to save Preston Garvey and his gang. I thought, honestly, I'm gonna go to the Minutemen this route. That's probably the best choice for a morally correct character that's gonna be a legend and a tale. And while I raw dog every single person in Concord, I just want to bring up the fact that I do have memberships now. Thank you guys so much for getting me to this point, but if you guys really do love my channel and you love stopping by, then if you want to, you don't have to, but you could join my membership. Even if you do join it or you don't, I still really appreciate it nonetheless. Thank you guys so much, and enough with the ads. I killed the Deathclaw, and now we're gonna save Preston Garvey. Once I had talked to Preston Garvey, I decided to leave and go to the diner so I can get some caps, but something possessed me. I don't know what happened, but I just went in and shot Patrick in his face. I don't know why I did it, but everybody got really angry, so I started to run away. I went back to Preston Garvey and started doing settlement missions. I tried to pick a fight with a sentry bot, but he wasn't having it, and he kind of just ran away like a father figure. I was mauled by some puppies, and I tried to run away, and then I made it to the settlement where I talked to the guy, but then I was attacked by the puppies again. I could never catch a break, because even when I thought I was fine in the confines of my home, the puppy opened the door and started attacking me again. Eventually, I did finish them off with my laser musket, but it was still terrifying. I then made my way to Corvega Assembly Plant, and then started killing everybody inside. The laser musket turned out to be one of the best weapons that I had on me. It was insanely good because it would kill enemies before they had the chance to mutate, and that was perfect. Eventually, I did kill Jared, took his items, and then left to go finish the mission. I then made it back to Preston Garvey, did some more settlement missions such as setting up radio towers and killing more raiders, and then finally it was time for me to go defend the castle. I grabbed everything that I needed, and then I made my way in, and I was so unprepared for this moment. I didn't understand how difficult Mirelurks and everything could be. Mirelurks get a 0 out of 10 on my favorite enemy list. This took me about 30 minutes to over an hour of me just running back and forth, trying to kill things with mines, killing myself, and then running for my life. Pretty much nothing that I did hurt them, and they hurt me a lot. I then left the Diamond City to go stock up on more ammunition and weapons. I watched Piper have a schizophrenic moment. I then went to Arturo and bought myself some missiles and some other weapons. I then left the Park Street Station to hopefully get some more weapons, but of course, they were insanely strong with their mutations. I was out of bullets on most of my weapons, and I just was down to a pipe pistol, so I was killing them with pretty much a pea shooter. I eventually made my way down, farther in, killing more Triggermen. This could have been a cakewalk if it wasn't for how strong Triggermen can be, and my VATS failing me almost in any situation. Eventually, I made my way to Dino and killed him with a missile, saved Nick Valentine, and killed some more Triggermen. I then finally made it up to Skinny Malone, so I placed down tons of mines and then set it off, killing every single person in the crowd instantly. I then made my way back up to Diamond City and then tried to steal myself some Nuka Quantum, but I accidentally picked it up and was mauled by every single person, and then I left the Good Neighbor because that's a much better place to live. No one cares if I do something wrong. And then I started stealing there too. I stole myself a Fat Man and a mini nuke so I can kill everything at once. I then went back to the castle and tried again. The nuke was pretty good, but some things survived, and if they didn't die, they just mutated. It was honestly not the best. And especially with the glowing ones that popped up out of nowhere and they maul me in one hit was probably the most terrifying thing that could ever happen. It took a lot of trial and error of running around, picking up loot from the rest of the Minutemen, and then finally the Mirror Queen finally came out. And then I shot her with a Fat Man, and it did nothing. Nothing at all. It just mutated her, which kind of sucked, and I should have played it a little bit better. But the worst thing about the Mirror Queen is that her slashes insta-kill, no matter what. And I died a lot. But finally, I got myself to a place where she couldn't hit me. I went inside of the castle walls, and she missed every single slash, and her spit was just going up the wall. I then just started unloading all of my rockets and everything I had left at that point to kill her. And then finally, with a well-placed laser musket shot, I melted the Mirror Queen. I then built the radio tower, and then I started doing more settlement missions for Preston Garvey. Feral ghouls turned out to be an insane threat because either they're super strong and they gang up on you, and if you don't have ammo for a powerful weapon, you're pretty much screwed. And the worst thing about it was now is a legendary glowing one, which is such a stupid thing. And I eventually made it outside, and the feral ghoul I had to kill turned invisible, so I just had to shoot blanks until it died. I then saved a person from being kidnapped, was jumped, but then I ran away, although they broke all of my legs while doing it. Finally, Ronnie Shaw was at the castle, and she wanted me to go kill Sarge and take back the armory. And Sarge was pretty scary. I tried to put down some mines, but of course it was pretty much no use. Sarge being legendary was a terrible thing. After a few deaths, I finally committed a strategy. I would sit behind Sarge and shoot him in his fusion cores, which did a shitload of damage. Eventually, he was dead. I then opened the armory doors and grabbed all the plans for artillery and grabbed myself an upgrade for my laser musket, which was pretty sick. I then watched the fireworks show, which was a good reward for all of my hardships. Now that all that was done, I thought it was a good time to start the main storyline and talk to Nick Valentine. We had to go snoop around Kellogg's house, so I went to Mayor McDonough's office, stole his keys right out of his back pocket, and then made it into Kellogg's house. I looted everything that was in there for some extra heals, and then gave Dogmeat a cigarette. I then left for Fort Hagen, and then I ran past every single synth that was in my way. I was not dealing with it, until one of them came in the elevator with me, and I had to put it down. The bayonet on this pipe pistol actually did a lot more damage than anything else that I had, so I kind of used that through walls, which was a little bit cheap, but it worked. I eventually grabbed the keys to the armory, and then grabbed the mini nuke and the automatic laser pistol that was waiting for me. I then started throwing down mines, being really hasty about this attack. It did not work, so then I ended up using the Fat Man and doing one thing a 2010 kid would always want. I 360 no-scoped Kellogg with the Fat Man. I scooped out Kellogg's brain matter to sell on the black market, left Fort Hagen, and then went to Good Neighbor. Finn was already dead, and by tradition, I needed to do something to him, so I dragged him upstairs and started doing unspeakable things, and then made it back down to Dr. Amari. I let her stick her fingers in Nick's brain, and then I went into Kellogg's dreams, seeing what I had to see, and now it was time for me to go to the glowing sea to find Virgil. But I don't know what came of me. I really wanted to go through the glowing sea without any hazmat suit, and that was a terrible plan. Worst plan, actually. Maybe the worst I've ever had. Something really strange happened, and there was 3 super mutants with missile launchers, and it was just hanging out with a settler. I don't know what happened. This game is crazy. So I threw some grenades and stole all their missiles, which was pretty good for me. I'm gonna need those later on. And then I found this guy sitting on the floor, and I murdered him in cold blood because I didn't like the way he was sitting. And then I made it into the glowing sea, which was crazy. One thing that you never think about, if everything is legendary, so are Deathclaws and so are Rad Scorpions. And that means an all-out war throughout the entire glowing sea. Eventually, I made it to this small little home area, and I saw the most terrible, despicable things I've ever seen in my life. People slaughtered. Children slaughtered. It was scary. I then made my way to the rocky cave, and there was a Rad Scorpion waiting right inside the door, waiting for me to come in and slip up. but luckily Virgil has an upgraded Ring doorbell system, so the Rad Scorpion was taken care of. I talked to Virgil, and then he told me I had to kill a courser, and I was not excited for this one bit, because that means I have to get through the gunners. And usually the gunner hallways that I have to go through are terrible, regardless of legendary or challenge. Most of my kills consisted of me quick peeking and using VATS to take care of enemies quickly. I eventually made my way up to the elevator and ran straight in, avoiding the enemies at the bottom level. I finally made my way up to the courser and used a fat man to kill them all in one blow. I then grabbed the courser chip, made my way to Dr. Amari, who was no help at all, and I got a little angry and carried away. I then left, got attacked by more puppies, and then made it into the Old North Church and killed the ghouls that were inside. I cracked the very difficult code they put up on the door, and then murdered everybody that was inside of the railroad with a missile launcher. And once I was inside of the railroad, I used a laser musket to finish off the rest of them. I then decoded the courser chip by myself, and then went back to Virgil so he can give me his autograph. I then built the teleporter in Sanctuary Hills, talked to Sturgis, and then made it into the Institute. I just know all of the Institute scientists and all the Synths all felt fear for the first time when they saw this legend coming down their elevator. I then saw this kid who would look kind of like my son, but then this man walked through the door, and I was having none of it. So I shot him in the head with a laser musket and left. I didn't just leave by myself though. I dragged his body all the way up to the end, and then I tried teleporting outside of the Institute with it, but he was gone. He was nowhere to be found. I don't know what happened, but all the trees were jiggling, and I was getting really freaked out. I then talked to Preston Garvey again, and he gave me even more settlement missions. I then finished it as fast as I could, and now it was time to defend the castle. I used the rest of whatever I had left of my junk to set up some turrets to help me defend. The Institute started their attack, and it was going really good at the start. Only a few of my Minutemen had killed themselves, and my laser musket was making great work of them. One thing to mention is the fact that coursers can use flaming miniguns, I found out, and they hurt a lot, and I mean a lot. But luckily I had a missile launcher that put them out pretty quickly. I then hid in the armory, killing the last few that were trying to pressure me, and then killed the last courser that I needed to kill with a well-placed musket shot. And then I killed the stragglers, and now it's time to take the fight to them. I got the fake ID from Sturgis. I went to the sewers to make it to the Institute from the underground. Once I finally made it into the Institute, I activated the relay and called in Preston Garvey, and then I found out something cool. Father was still there, and someone put his clothes back on. Since everyone and their mom was legendary, I took this pretty slow by killing the turrets first and moving on, trying to let Preston Garvey do most of it for me. But of course, Preston Garvey doesn't do anything. The Minutemen just kind of sit there, just hold your hand while you guide them through, so it kind of sucks. Eventually, we did make it into the main area, mostly using my laser musket to kill the gorillas and the rest of the Synths. And then once we were in the courtyard, I still used the laser musket and picked them off from a distance while Preston Garvey was my meat shield. I overrided the Institute lockdown, I killed some more Synths, and then made it into the reactor room. But I wasn't really able to kill much, so I just ran straight to the reactor door, put the reactor charge on, and left. I then decided to take this kid with me. I then left the Institute again with the body, and now it's finally time to end the game for good. I pressed the button, and then with a flash of light, the challenge ended. I beat Fall of 4 with every enemy being legendary. I had a lot of fun making this video. I hope you guys did too. Anyways, if you guys want to see more, please subscribe and leave a like, and if you didn't like the video, then scroll past. Anyways, I will see you guys later, and peace.